Now, Craig, if you're getting a hotel key at a gas station,
you're thinking to yourself,
what are you
am
thinking?
I staying?
Yeah, what are you thinking the accommodations are going to be like?
Okay, I'm thinking cockroaches. I'm thinking, I'm going to have to check the bed for bed bugs before I jump in this thing.
The black light.
The black light. No, I wouldn't go that far because I knew I'll be out of there before that.
Do you love the outdoors?
Do you love to travel?
Do you love finding hidden treasures in towns all over the USA? Hi, I'm Joshua.
And I'm Craig, and welcome to Treasures of Our Town, the podcast that takes you on a journey to explore the unique and charming towns scattered throughout the United States.
Join us as we venture into some of the country's most intriguing destinations, uncovering hidden gems and local secrets along the way.
On today's episode, we're heading to a little-known town known to some as the home of the king of late night, Josh.
The home of Johnny Carson. Here's Norfolk. Norfolk. We don't know what to call it.
Well, so you've been there, Josh. I haven't even been there.
I've been there,
You have.
and I think I know the right answer of how to pronounce Norfolk.
Yeah. Well,
It doesn't look like Norfolk, but I believe it's Norfolk.
Norfolk. So if you're not from there, then obviously it's going to be called Norfolk. Like FOLK is folk, like the folks around people, like people are
Right.
folks. So yeah, Norfolk. But apparently that's not the way you say it.
No, if you walk around that town and say it wrong, they're going to look at you funny.
Well, they won't look at you funny. They just know that you're from out of town.
That's true.
Yeah,
Because it's in the Midwest. It's a very friendly town, that's for sure. Because I have been there to Norfolk, Nebraska. Craig,
Yes.
I'm excited to talk about this.
Me too.
For many reasons.
Yes.
But one of the reasons is that we've never mentioned on this podcast, I don't think once, any town in Nebraska.
No, we haven't. No, this is our first Nebraskian town.
Have you ever been to Nebraska? I know you took a road trip across America.
I did.
Did you
Yeah.
drive through Nebraska or did you go down through Kansas? I don't know if you hit it.
I went through Kansas.
Wow.
Yeah, I went through Kansas because I went from Cincinnati and went through Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, and I went through Kansas, Josh. I went just the lower part, but
You missed it.
But no, because I did go up and duck into Nebraska before going to Wyoming.
Oh,
Yes.
you ducked in.
I ducked in. I had to get one geocache just to get that tick
Okay.
because I never thought I'd be back here in America again. Funny me.
So technically, you have been to Nebraska.
Yes. I have been to Nebraska itself personally, and I have got one geocache in Nebraska, I do believe. So, yeah.
I've spent a lot of time in Omaha, Nebraska for work. And we're not here to talk about Omaha, but let me just say, Omaha, Craig, it's a sleeper town.
Another one. We're finding these
It's a
sleeper towns
sleeper.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's a great community.
Yeah.
So many great places to eat. It's right on the river, but Norfolk is also on the river.
Right. Firstly, if people don't know what Omaha is, where's Omaha, Josh? If you don't,
In the middle.
in the middle, but on the edge, on the border of Iowa.
Okay, let's talk about where Nebraska is. I'll
Yeah.
be more specific.
Yeah,
It
thank you.
is
For those uneducated.
yes.
like
It
me.
is west of Iowa. Like directly, like most they
Yep.
border each other.
Yeah.
It is south of South Dakota.
Right.
It is north of Colorado and Kansas.
Yeah.
And then it is east of Idaho. Is it Idaho?
Wyoming.
Wyoming. Never mind. Sorry. Okay. I don't have a map in front of me. I should
I
know,
do.
but I figured you did.
So people probably best to get there. Everyone knows really roughly where Omaha is. So where is then Norfolk compared to Omaha?
Omaha is on the border of Iowa and Nebraska.
Yeah,
Let's just say that first.
Yep.
And so Norfolk is roughly, I think, 2-ish hours northwest
Okay.
of Omaha.
Yep.
It's about 5 hours from Minneapolis, St. Paul. So We're right here in what they call the Heartland.
Yeah.
The Heartland. That sounds like an incredible place to visit. The Heartland.
It does. It does. Now, why did you go there, Josh? So why did you actually go there? Why did you go to Norfolk?
So, if you listen to our podcast regularly, which I hope you do, because what show number? Is this 8, 9? What show? We're 9. Oh my gosh, we're almost hitting 10. This is fantastic. Well, the last episode, Craig, we talked about Geo Tours.
We did.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you searched like Norfolk, Nebraska, and our podcast just popped up, we are a travel podcast that is guided by our hobby of geocaching, which geocaching is a worldwide scavenger hunt game where people use GPS to find hidden containers all over the world. Well, in Norfolk, they have a Geo Tour, which is a series of geocaches put together by the city to highlight their city. So it's like your own personal tour guide going around the city looking for these amazing boxes.
In the palm of your hands.
Yes. And Norfolk is, get this, the first and only Geo Tour in Nebraska.
Oh,
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
First and only.
First and only in Nebraska. Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
now, why else did you go there? Like, who, we said before at the start of the show, Johnny Carson. Tell me more, Josh. Tell me more about Johnny Carson. If people don't know who Johnny Carson is, because there's some people who may not.
Oh, I know.
Who's Johnny Carson? What did he do?
Yeah. If you're a millennial or Gen Z and you're listening to this, first of all, good on you.
Yeah.
Because we're a bunch of Gen X dudes.
Yeah, exactly.
So this conversation is going to age us a bit. If you're a baby boomer or a Gen Xer, you're going to know who Johnny Carson is. Johnny Carson was the longest running host for the famous Tonight Show. Da, 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 da,
Who succeeded
Aren't you impressed?
him?
What?
Who succeeded him? This isn't in the show notes.
Jay Leno.
It was Jay Leno, wasn't it? Yeah.
Jay Leno.
Yeah.
And then who succeeded Jay Leno?
Oh, I got no clue.
Conan O'Brien.
Oh, there you go.
And then he was unfairly kicked out.
There we go. So
he was.
Now you know what we're talking about when we're talking about late night entertainment, late night television.
Yeah. And now Jimmy Fallon has it.
Oh,
Jimmy
of
Fallon.
course. So 4 hosts ago from Jimmy Fallon is who we're talking about here, and that's Johnny Carson. So it was his hometown. What was his childhood town? What was it, Josh?
It was his boyhood home. Johnny Carson was born in Iowa, but I believe he moved there. I might have this wrong. I believe he moved there when he was like 8 years old. And Johnny Carson claims this city, Norfolk, gotta get it right, as his hometown. And so you visit there and you see his picture up. There's a beautiful mural of him. Like, it's huge, of Johnny downtown in the Elkhorn Valley Museum. There's a whole section on Johnny Carson. You can actually go to his boyhood home. Like, the whole city is just, there's Johnny Carson stuff everywhere. So they certainly claim him.
Yeah.
But he also of course, he is so proud of his town.
Yeah.
That's a rare thing these days, you know? Johnny was proud of his town. You don't see that every day.
And we're gonna wrap this up soon, because we're gonna talk to Jason as well from Norfolk. We're gonna talk to Jason. He's a local there. We're gonna talk to him very shortly. But I should say this, Josh. I did research this whole Norfolk, the whole lot. Right now, when settlers went there, they called it North, as in north, south, east, west, North, and Fork because of the fork in the river. So it was north of the fork in the river. So that's what they said, and that the post office was going to be North Fork. But it was very confusing for some of the locals, and when it comes to writing it, so Americans, probably being Americans, try and simplify it a little bit, and that's where they come up with They started Norfolk, as in Norfolk, but then they changed it to Norfolk. So
But pronounce it Norfolk.
But still pronounce it Norfolk.
That's where the fork comes from, the
That's where
fork in the river.
Exactly right. And it's got a population currently of 25,000 people. So there you go.
That's a perfect size.
It is.
It's the perfect size for this podcast. I'm loving these what we call not tiny towns, but I love these middle-sized small towns.
Exactly. I mean, before we talk to Jason as well, Josh, I've recently been to a very small town here in New Jersey only last week, and I did a video about it as well. It was, again, one of those towns where you don't normally go, but there was so much of the treasures in that town. And if you haven't seen my video, go on my channel and have a look as well. And you'll see, Josh, this beautiful red mill, and it's a flour mill, but it's based off the actual river itself. And they make a very small fake waterfall that goes down, and so as the water plummets over the waterfall, it turns the water wheel. You see, which then causes the grain and the flour to be done. So it's a mill area. But Josh, it was so beautiful. Like, this red building was just pristine. It had this beautiful, gorgeous cream-colored metal bridge going across the river as well, with hanging baskets of flowers. So when we talk about treasures of our town, they are everywhere, these little towns.
Yes.
And so I'm very happy that we actually are going to Norfolk, Nebraska, as a small town, as opposed to all the large towns. We have been, let's be honest, we have been saying a lot of large places on this podcast. So now we're honing in, Josh. We're honing in. So I love
that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's throw it over Jason. Let's have a conversation with Jason, who is a resident of Norfolk. Hey, everybody. We are with Jason Jutt, also known as GeoJutt in the geocaching world, if you're a geocacher. And how you doing, Jason? Good to see you.
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Oh, we are doing fantastic. Now, we have asked you to come on the podcast because I am assuming, well, you're much more of an expert than we are about Norfolk. I know. I just watched the video of my visit there, and I know I mispronounced it several times. But let's just clear the air right away. Norfolk.
Norfolk is how we pronounce it here locally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. And you are an expert. I visited, I think it was in 2021, fall of 2021,
Yep.
I believe. Had a great time. I believe I was there for 3 days. And so Craig and I felt like it would be great to get some information from an expert.
Exactly, and I'm keen to learn too, Josh. Let's be honest, because I mean, I've watched your videos obviously, several times, and watched them again just before making this recording as well. And I'm still getting like FOMO. I'm still missing out on something here. I still need to go and see Norfolk. So yeah, I still need to actually go and see this place. Johnny Carson obviously was big. Worldwide. He was bigger in America, obviously, than he was in Australia, but we still knew of him as well. But you and I, Josh, we're the same breed. We love movie themes. We love locations. We love whether it be films or sitcoms, whatever it might be. So this location in Norfolk, mate, I'm telling you, I need to go. I need to go. But Josh, you were there for this Geo Tour.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons we brought Jason on, because Jason, when I looked at all the geocaches, your name was behind all of them, most of them.
Well, I worked with the local visitors bureau here. They're the let's say the money behind paving the way for this. I worked with Tracy there, but as far as the muscle, we'll say the muscle behind it, I'm the legs on the ground and physically put all the caches together and went out and placed everything. And
so Jason, in that case then, how many actual geocaches are in that area for the tour then in total?
There's a total of 40. The vast majority of them are right here in Norfolk, but the Norfolk Area Visitors Bureau, and that's where the area of Norfolk Area Visitors Bureau comes in. They cover more than just here in town. There's a couple of smaller communities. There's Pierce to the north, and then there's Madison to the south. And so they wanted to include Norfolk, but they wanted to branch out and include their entire area that they serve. So we did put a few of the caches. There's 32 of them are here in Norfolk, but there's 4 of them that are in Pierce to the north, and there's another 4 that are in Madison to the south, so that you can kind of get a full experience of the entire area.
One of the things that I love about Geo Tours is that it often does a great job highlighting all the great places to visit in that area. So tell us, Jason, about some of the areas that this Geo Tour will bring a person.
Well, we tried, we were kind of, when we first were setting this up, we were like, okay, what kind of angle do we want to take? Do we want to focus on, maybe food or history or, just different locations? And we thought, you know what, let's just give them a taste of everything. So we kind of incorporated a little bit of food locations, a little bit of some of the beautiful parks that are in the area, some of the history. We've got a bunch of famous people, more than just Johnny Carson, that are from this area. We've got other just various historical pieces of the puzzle that are that a lot of people don't know about this area or Norfolk specifically, and so we kind of wanted to showcase a little bit of everything that the area had to offer.
I was going to say, so there's 40 of them in total. Jason, how long does it take for actually people to do the Geo Tour itself? Like to do all 40? Because you have to do all 40, do you, to actually obtain the coin, etc.?
You don't actually have to do all 40.
Okay.
We set up the passport that you would download to do the tour. We've got it set up so that you can find all 40 caches, and that'll give you. We've got basically a point system. So you can find all 40 caches and be done. Or, if you're on a time crunch and you don't have time to do all 40, you can do however many caches for points that you need, but also if you stay at a hotel here in town or the area, you'll earn bonus points for the hotel stay, or if you eat at a restaurant or do some shopping or just various things like that. As long as you get a total of the amount of points you need, you complete the tour and you can earn the coin. But of course, the majority of cachers want to find them all because they want to get that digital souvenir as well.
Exactly.
And in order to do that, you have to find all 40 of the caches. But
I love that. I love that idea with a point system. Again, it's more than just being about geocaching. It's about experiencing the whole area.
Jason, I've done several Geo Tours now, and I'm curious if you've done other Geo Tours. And what do you feel like makes this tour unique?
I have done other tours. I've done, the HQ has a tour up in Seattle. There's, West Virginia Tim's, that the very first, I think, I'm drawing a blank on the name. I think it's Berkeley County or something.
That's it.
Yeah, Berkeley County Tour, that's the one.
Geo Tour out there. I've done... Trying to think. I've done. Oh, we did last year up in Canada. We did the Geo Tour up there. That was around the Giga event, and I've done some others too. As far as those, like West Virginia Tim's, his was all about the gadgets. Mm-hmm. I would have loved to have been able to put together a big gadget series here in town, but we just, we didn't have the time and didn't have a lot of people involved to do it. So yeah, no, we didn't have a team of 40 people that we could
have a team with you.
Build all that. But as far as what sets us apart from other Geo Tours, I would say, I don't know if quaint is the right word, but we're just a little, just a smaller community. It is easier to get around. There's a lot of history here. We've got the parks are amazing. Caches themselves, I wouldn't say it's about the caches themselves. It's more about the locations and the experience and the kind of the knowledge you get from being here.
Although I will say, you're saying it's not about the caches themselves, but I will say this, and that is, after watching Josh's videos, and as always, people, links are in the description, including to Josh's videos, there's a lot of ammo cans. And as geocachers, we love the size. And there's lots and lots of ammo cans, and they're well marked with the sticker on them as well. And so, again, I only know this because of his videos. But to me, it's not about the geocaches themselves in terms of the gadgets and stuff, but there's still a high quality type of cache to actually find, and the ones we love to find as well, which are the larger size ammo cans.
Oh yeah, in fact, I would say probably 90% of the caches, at least when the tour first started, were all ammo cans, and I wanted to do that partially because, just like you said, it's nice to find the larger ones and not have to hunt around. And of course, ammo cans typically go missing, and so we had to find creative places to put them. There were a few. Well, like for example, the library. It's not it's not real easy. We wanted to do it inside of the library, so it's not real easy just to plop an ammo can down in the library. So got a little more creative on that one, and there's actually a series of riddles you have to go through, and it's the one that people complain about the most. And when I say complain, like friendly complain, but it's also the one with the most favorite points because it's,
that's right.
It's
because you got to put work in.
Yeah, you got to put the work in, and it's a challenge, and then it's got a fun container at the end too. That isn't just an ammo can sitting on a shelf. So,
Yeah.
but as time's gone on here, we've had to change some of them over because they did go missing or whatever. So we had to get a little more creative on some of them. So some that used to be ammo cans aren't anymore. But yeah, I wanted to give that experience or make it easier, especially because we had a lot of, at the very beginning especially, we had a lot of people that had never geocached before. And so
right.
wanted to give them a nice experience and have the vast majority of them be pretty easy to find too.
Yeah, that was very smart because a lot of times people, their very first experience with geocaching is actually checking out the Geo Tour. So to make it accessible, and the ammo cans are great for kids to find swag inside of them. I thought that was really smart. And you did a strategy that I'm seeing a lot in Geo Tours is that you'll utilize a multi-cache where it'll take you to a historic place where an ammo can won't fit. You'll get some information there, and then it takes you a little bit farther outside of town where you can actually find the ammo cans. So mixing that history with a good container, that's such a great strategy.
Yep. And just like you said, a lot of those historical areas, you can't just leave an ammo can there because it might look a little suspicious, or, in today's world, you never know what it could be. So, yep. And that way, we could still have that ammo can and give them a nice box of trinkets and a nice location to take them to out on a trail somewhere.
Although in saying that, Jason, as well, I rewatched Josh's videos obviously this morning before recording this. I got a question for you. Has the brick been replaced from that ammo can?
It's funny because that, believe it or not, that brick was not an original part of the cache.
Oh, really?
that was not swag. And actually, where that cache is at, that's actually the second location at that building because the cache kept getting raided. I don't know if some kids or something found it and they kept just emptying the thing out. And so we moved it to a little bit different location on the property there, and later on they started doing some construction and left a pile of bricks around. And so I think eventually the kids found, or whoever it was, found the new location, and they plundered it. It's still frequently plundered. And then I think at some point somebody stuck that brick in and thought, oh, hey, this fits in here. Let's just put this in here.
If you haven't seen Josh's video, I suggest you go and rewatch it. And you'll see Josh's face. He picks up this ammo can, just to give you an idea. So Josh, obviously, if you know Josh is an excited sort of fellow. He picks up this ammo can, and it's got some weight to it. And his face changed, like to this excitement, this level of excitement. His eyebrows went up. His eyes went wider. His pupils dilated. And he's like, there's so much stuff in this one. Yes, it's my first one. Then he opened it up, and then the disappointment, and his whole face dropped as he just pulled out a brick.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's a brick.
It was mostly confusion because, yeah, that was all that was in there was a brick. So, Jason, to get a little bit away from geocaching now, let's talk a little bit more about Norfolk. Other than geocaching, what are some things that people go there to do outside of geocaching?
Well, we've got quite a bit here in town. Of course, we mentioned about the parks. We've got several parks, but we've got two parks that are very good size. One has a lake in it, and so a lot of people like to go there for all the usual things you would do at a park: biking, running. Each of the parks has a disc golf course. We've got that, of course. We've got fishing. One of the things that's kind of unique to this area, though, is we've got the Cowboy Trail that runs from Norfolk. Actually, the trailhead of the Cowboy Trail is here in town, and it runs 321 miles to the west out to Chadron, Nebraska. It's a rails to trails conversion. I'm trying to think when they decommissioned it, but it's been the trail's been around for 20 some years, and it's something that people come out here they'll bike sometimes they'll run the entire trail
Wow.
all the way out, or they'll start out west and come all the way and finish in Norfolk. People that have been known to do that. We do have, I would say, not just our visitors bureau, but the city in general have been working really hard too in revitalizing our downtown. At one point, I think like a lot of cities, the downtown areas were kind of on their last leg and fading, and ours was right there too. Ours was on the brink of just completely going under, and they've really done a great job here in the last few years of just revitalizing it, kind of like a phoenix rising from the ashes. We've got a lot of just new businesses, restaurants. They're actually putting on concerts. There's a large mural downtown of Johnny Carson, and that used to just be a parking lot right in front of that. Now they've actually redone it into an actual like a park with some benches and different things, and they do farmers markets there that people like to attend.
So there's a lot happening.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on in town. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You mentioned sorry, just quickly, and then I'm going to go off script here because you mentioned fishing, and I do love my fishing as well. I enjoy fishing, and I didn't realize. So I've just looked up on the map itself, and is it the best fishing spot? Is it in the Elkhorn River, or is it in the near Skyview Park in that?
I would say
between
Skyview Park and then our other big park is called Tahazuka, and that's an old Native American term. And I'm for the life of me right now, I'm drawing a total blank. I used to know what Tahazuka meant. I can't recall at this moment. But those two parks are actually stocked. The Nebraska Game and Park Commission actually come in and stock both of those lakes. So that's probably the best place to fish are those two parks. Just because of that stocking that they do. So,
just to let you know, Tahazuka is believed to be translation of the name of the Omaha Indian chief, meaning elk's horn or horn of the elk. There you go. Google. See, Josh, my quick fingers in Google. As he said, I didn't know. I'm there Googling with my fingers. Google.
As soon as you said that, I realized that, and why they call that is because that's the Elkhorn River that goes
along the Elkhorn River.
That goes right through there. So, yep.
No worries. See, Josh, going off script about fishing. See.
I Googled it too, and it pulled up the Greek for Tachazuka is I'm sorry.
Oh.
So I think yours is right, Craig.
Yeah, mine's probably a little bit more direct.
Being a visitor of Norfolk, I can attest that the real highlight of their city is that beautiful downtown. You're right, Jason. A lot of the downtown areas throughout our country have fallen, and usually due to some mall that was built in the 80s. And this downtown was just absolutely beautiful with food. And as you said, there's that beautiful Johnny Carson mural, but there's murals throughout the whole downtown area. You guys really have it going on downtown. You could spend a lot of time there. And the one thing that Jason, you and I spent time down there was the 411 restaurant.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Which was fantastic. I would love to hear, what are some of your favorite places to eat in Norfolk?
Well, that's one of them. As far as local restaurants go, definitely the 411. And ironically, that actually ties into our Geo Tour as well, because that a lot of people don't realize that is where Hallmark greeting cards got their start here in Norfolk as the Norfolk Postcard Company. And the actual location of where that started is where the 411 restaurant is now. And there's one of the Geo Tour caches right out in the front of that.
And it was a tough one. That was a tough one to find, not because it was necessarily that tough a cache, but it's a heavy Muggle area.
Oh, yes.
So, and there were a lot of places to look. So that one was tough.
Now,
all right.
Again, sorry, that must be a local thing. You call it the 411 because I'm looking online and they call it the 411.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, online it's classed as the 411 in Norfolk. There you go.
No, the locals all say the 411. So I guess I don't.
That's a local thing as well. See, so if you're local, you go say I'll meet you at the 411 in Norfolk. If you're not local, you say I'll meet you at the 411 in Norfolk. Yeah. There you go.
I mean, Craig, I just want to be sure because I know there's often some cultural,
differences.
Differences.
Yeah.
You know what 411 means, right?
The 411. Yeah, I've got the down low. The 411.
The information. You know why it's 411, right?
Yeah.
Why? Do you know?
Oh, do I know why it's 4? No, I don't know why it's 411.
Okay. Here we go.
Is it a police?
I always love educating you on stuff like this. If you need information, I don't know if people do it anymore. You can actually call the number 411 and you get information. Like you can get somebody's like phone number or whatever. Like back in the olden days.
Back when you have to do the circle dial on the telephone.
Yeah.
That's connected by a cord in your home.
Yeah. I remember in the 80s, we were like, I don't know this person's phone number. So we would just go 411 and then we tell them the name and the place and they tell us the phone number.
Josh, you're giving out good information here on this podcast. There's another little tidbit for everyone. See, there you go. I did not know that.
At least for the Aussie.
Well, yeah, at least for me, a minimum for me. If you didn't know that, then make sure you comment somewhere on our social medias and let us know that you learnt something here from Josh saying where the 411 come from. Anyway, the 411 restaurant, delicious, was it? This is what we do, Jason. This is what happens on this podcast. So, what was your favorite meal then, Josh, when you were at the 411?
Oh, I believe I had the sirloin steak.
Oh.
Get this. I had to write down, in preparation for this, I had to write down what it said on the menu. Get this. It's a sirloin on a bed house of mashed potatoes, cherry jam, blue cheese crumbles, fried onions, asparagus, and a choice of honey bourbon garlic herb butter drizzle. Whoa.
Jeez. You had me up until the blue cheese crumble. I'm like, I'm not a fan.
It was so good. It was so tasty. That's what I had. And the crazy thing is that was almost 2 years ago, and I still remember it.
Wow. So, Jason, apart from this sort of location, like by the sounds of it, it's a little bit more sort of uppy sort of area, restaurant-ish. Where can people go, for instance, in Norfolk, if they've got like a family and they want meals like with their families and stuff as well? Is there any other place like local burger joints, that sort of thing, that you can think about? Again, this is off script, I know, but anyway.
Well, as far as family friendly, I mean, the 411 is family friendly. I mean, pretty much everything here in town. I mean, there's nothing really risque. We're small town, or and ritzy. So they try to keep everything pretty much available for everybody now. And we do have one of my other favorite local restaurants is the Black Cow Fat Pig. And that's that used to be more of a what you say ritzy type restaurant, but it's really it changed owners here a few years ago, and they kind of scaled that back and made it into more of a sports bar-ish type atmosphere, but it's more of a family-friendly atmosphere, and so a lot of people will go there. We do have, I guess not really family-friendly, but we do have a lot of craft beers. If you're into craft beer, there's a local place here that actually is called Divots, because it started out west of town. There's a driving range and mini golf, and that's where the Norfolk Lodge and Suites Hotel is, and they've actually got a brewery that they put in out there, and they started some of the downtown restaurants started serving those craft beers, and now they've actually got a second location that they've actually opened up downtown, that's Divots Downtown, and they've got another brewery right in there. So they've got some local creations that they've come up with. Sometimes they'll do a if we've got a special event or something going on in town. For example, we just had the Great American Comedy Festival was just here recently. They'll do a special brew in honor of Johnny Carson and serve that during the comedy festival time. So just a lot of fun creative things like that going on.
I can just see it, Josh, as well. You think about this, right? If there's a brewery attached to like a hotel or somewhere to stay, you know where I'm going to stay, don't you? I'll be staying at that hotel. You think about it, you can drink all you'd like then and just walk back to your room, or stumble back to your room. It might take you twice as long to get back as what it did to get there, but that's okay. Where
are some of the best places to stay in Norfolk if you were to spend a weekend or a long weekend there?
Well, the Norfolk Lodge and Suites that I just mentioned, that's probably I would say our best hotel all around here in town. I mean, there's a lot of, we've got like your Hampton Inns, Holiday Inn Express, various places like that. But if you want somewhere has a a local atmosphere to it, but it's probably, I dare to say, the nicest hotel in town, just because of that, because it was done by local people. But it's just got a homey feel to it. It's very, very well done.
Yeah.
in there. And I think that may have been where you stayed, Josh, when you were here.
Yeah, it was where I stayed, and I stay in a lot of hotels for my work, and I you go in a Holiday Inn Express, all those rooms look the same wherever you go. The Hampton Inn, they all kind of have the same consistent vibe, which is a good thing because you know what you get. But the thing I loved about the room when I stayed there was it did feel completely unique. Like I'd never stayed in a room like that. All the walls, it felt like I was in like a log cabin, but a really nice log cabin. It was really, really well done.
And if coming up here too, they just within the last year or so, they did open up. They took one of the old buildings in downtown Norfolk and converted it. It's called the River Point Inn that they just opened up, and I can't recall how many rooms are in there. It's a smaller hotel because it is right there in downtown Norfolk. I think it might only have about 10 rooms in it. And I haven't actually been inside myself, but just from what I've heard, they tried to make it kind of that old-timey feel, but yet, with the modern conveniences and some modern look to it. It hasn't opened yet, but one of our, I would say, historic buildings here, it's right on the main street in downtown Norfolk. It's called the Kensington, and back in Johnny Carson's time, it was actually called the Hotel Norfolk. And when he first came to town, when they first moved here when he was young, they stayed at Hotel Norfolk. And then over the years, it changed names, changed into the Kensington. It was still a hotel for quite a few years, and then it became apartments. And it was apartments until just recently, and some people bought it out. And they're in the process of converting it back into a hotel. As soon as that opens up, you can kind of get the full Johnny Carson experience, because you could go stay at the same hotel that he stayed at when he was young.
Well, now talking about Johnny Carson, obviously Johnny Carson is a well-known sort of comedian here in America. You guys then host the American Comedy Festival, or a type of American Comedy Festival here in June. Did you know much about that, Jason, at all?
The Great American Comedy Festival, and that it's usually it's around Father's Day weekend every year, and they've been doing it. Boy, I think it's been going on for, I want to say, about 12, 13 years, something like that. It's a multi-day celebration to kind of celebrate the life and legacy of Johnny Carson, give new comics a chance to showcase their talents. But it also they also bring in some of the more famous comics that you've probably heard about, including I've got Louis Anderson has been here, Paula Poundstone, Drew Carey, Martin Short, Paul Reiser. I think it was last year the Smothers Brothers were here. They came out of retirement actually to come here, and then just this last weekend, Vicki Lawrence was here. So they're the headline act of Saturday nights, the biggest of the multi-day show. They'll usually do they'll do their act, but then at the end of that they present them with an award in honor of Johnny Carson for their achievements that they've done, and many of these people actually were were featured on the Tonight Show with Johnny and sat with Johnny. And we're able to talk with him. Many of them, while they're here in town too, they'll go tour through his old house. And in fact, there's a big wall inside of his childhood home where a lot of these comics have signed their names on the wall.
I did see that. I did see that in your video, Josh. Yep.
It's very much the spirit of Johnny Carson to have that festival. I think it's so neat that has been brought to your community, because Johnny got many, many comics their start by being on the Tonight Show, and it was always a big deal. If Johnny really liked you, he would invite you over to talk to him. And so it's so cool that this comedy festival is there, and it sounds like up-and-coming comics, it's a place to go and to give them an opportunity to get their talent out there. So I think that's amazing that the city is chosen to host this comedy festival to continue the spirit of Johnny Carson in launching people into the world with this comic talent. So that's so cool.
That is cool. And as always, links for all that we talk about are in the description below. Now, Jason, one last thing before we let you go. I heard on the grapevine, or actually I didn't hear, I've seen with my own 2 eyes that you, sir, are one of those rare owners of a DeLorean.
Yes. The Back to the Future car is like a lot of people like to call it. Of course, mine doesn't look like it did in the movie, but
so what is the history there? Are you just a fan of the movies? Are you just a fan of the car? Is it both?
Was it just cheap at the time?
What prompted you to purchase a DeLorean?
Well, it was kind of my childhood dream car. When of course I was, just a little kid when the movie first came out in the theater, and I didn't realize at the time that was an actual car. I thought it was something that Doc created in the movie, and had no clue that it was an original car. And we were, if you fast forward past seeing the movie, it might have even been a couple of years later. We were actually down in Omaha for something, and we were going through an intersection and stopped at the intersection there, going the other direction was a DeLorean, and I kind of did a double take, and I'm like, that's a real car? I didn't know that. I didn't know that was an actual car. So, it kind of built from there, and when I finally got to a point in my life where that was something that I could pursue, I started hunting around and found somebody that had one available and purchased it, and I've had it for...
Does it turn heads?
Does it
still turn heads as you're driving along the road?
Yeah. Yep. I get people all the time that, if I'm on a two-lane road, they'll come up next to me and they'll give me a big thumbs up. Or really when I probably, unless I'm at a car show, obviously people, will come up at car shows. But if I'm just out and about, sometimes I'll go out and run some errands in it, and I'll stop and get gas. And that's usually when it really turns heads, is when I pull up in that and the door swings up. And of course, a lot of people don't realize this, where you put the gas in is actually in the trunk, which is in the front of the car. And so I have to actually open the hood to remove the gas cap to put gas in. So that grabs people's attention too. They're like, what is he doing? Why is he putting gas into his trunk? Now
I've seen on Josh's video, Josh actually gets in the car himself and closes the door. So my next question for you is, do you still have the DeLorean?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, so Josh didn't actually take it.
No. Like,
maybe I have it in a different timeline, possibly.
Yes.
Yeah. I wonder, Jason, when you pull up to get gas, do people that really know the movie or don't know the movie so well say, "Oh, is your Mr. Fusion not working? Or did you run out of plutonium?"
I have had that a time or two. Usually the thing I get is, where's the flux capacitor? And ironically, I do have a flux capacitor that I put in there in car shows, and a lot of times when I'm not at shows, it's in the trunk. So if they come up to me at the gas station, I'll just pop the case open and say, "Oh, it's right here," and they'll like, "Oh my gosh!"
and if they're real fans, they would know that the car is still powered by gas. It's only the flux capacitor that is powered by plutonium and Mr. Fusion.
You're exactly right. Yep.
The car is a celebrity, and it does make an appearance along with Jason in the video of the Geo Tour.
And if you want an ironic tie back to Johnny Carson was an investor in the DeLorean Motor Company. So.
Whoa.
Yeah. So there's.
Wow, my head just exploded.
Yep.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for sharing with us the treasures of your town in Norfolk, Nebraska. And I'm just going to say it, Nebraska is a sleeper state. And if you haven't spent any time in Nebraska, Norfolk is a great place to go to spend a long weekend. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you,
no
Jason.
problem. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, mate. There you go, Josh. Jason, I know you're going to say it.
Wow. You know what? You just really got to appreciate somebody that's proud of their town. He's proud of his town. That is a rare thing these days.
You slipped in 2 in one episode, Josh.
I know.
You slipped in 2.
That's really good. That's really good.
Oh, man. What he said, it's true about everything in terms of where to go and whatnot as well.
He knows his stuff. He knows his stuff. And I tested something out this last week because I knew we were going to be talking about Norfolk.
Yeah.
And I was playing with a little chat GPT. Are you proud of me or are you ashamed of me?
A bit of A and a bit of B.
A little of both. But this is a great travel tip / travel hack, Craig.
Yeah. What's that?
It's all about giving ChatGPT the right prompt. I asked ChatGPT to give me a weekend itinerary for Norfolk, Nebraska.
Wow.
To give me like a literal, just give me an itinerary. What should I do?
Yeah, and?
What should I see? What should I eat? I was amazed. Do you want to hear what it said? It gave me a day.
I'm hanging on my edge of my seat here, Josh.
It gave me a day 1 and day 2.
Oh,
so, Saturday morning, you're going to start your day with a breakfast at a local cafe. You could go to the Black Cow Fat Pig Pub or Johnny's Cafe or Penny's Diner.
We talked about that.
I know.
Jason talked about the fat pig. Well, fat cow, black cow, fat, I don't know, whatever that was.
This is crazy. We don't even need to talk to Jason. We could have just asked ChatGPT
everything. Yeah, and so what do you do after breakfast? What do you do then?
Then, later in the late morning, you go to the Elkhorn Valley Museum. Explore the history and culture of the region through exhibits and displays. What? Then, afternoon. Try a delicious meal at one of Norfolk's local eateries, such as Depot Restaurant. Didn't he mention the Depot?
Yeah, he did. He did, because that's where the brewery.
Yeah. Luigi's Italian Restaurant or Whiskey Creek Woodfire Grill. Oh. And then, in the afternoon, later after you're done eating, go to Tahazoka Park. What? And do some fishing. It offers beautiful scenery, walking trails, picnic areas, and a lake. You can rent paddle boats or kayaks, explore the water, or just relax by a peaceful surrounding.
Wow.
This is just the first day. Then, in the evening, go downtown. It mentions more restaurants, and then it says you can catch a live performance at in the downtown, which he mentioned, or at the Johnny Carson Theater.
There you go.
And I'm not going to go through it again, but then it gave me a full day too. Like, Craig, we are becoming obsolete as we speak.
We are. AI is taking over. Although in saying that, you can't get a human interaction with AI, Josh. You can't get this humor that we've got,
Exactly. Yet. Pretty soon, ChatGPT might be funnier than us, have better personalities. Who knows?
Eddie, no,
but for now, we need... we need Jason.
Yeah, and we're going to get back on track because I want to talk to you about you and your experience when you were there. So you were there predominantly because of the Geo Tour, weren't
That's what brought me in there. Yep.
Yeah.
And it was approximately a 5-hour drive again from Minneapolis. And I completed the Geo Tour in flat out 2 days, which is really good for me. All 40 caches in 2 days. That's really good considering all the filming I did.
Filming you're doing too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It actually was probably about 2 days, and then I had one more extra morning. But most people could complete it in 2 days. And it brought me, here's the whole point, geocaching aside, it brought me to really all the treasures of this town.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that Jason mentioned. And there was also an adventure lab there that was really amazing that took me to where Johnny went to elementary school, where Johnny the apartment that they lived at. It was 10 stages, brought me all over town. And one of the things we didn't mention, Craig, if you watch the video, I based the video off of a old special that was on television in 1982 or 83 maybe. And it was called Johnny Comes Home. And basically it was just like a little documentary about Johnny coming home from California to Norfolk, and Norfolk, and he just visited some of his relatives. He visited some of the places. So a lot of the places that the Geo Tour took me were places from that special. So if you watch the video, Craig did a great job editing this. We turned it into, instead of Johnny Comes Home, it was the geocaching vlogger goes to Norfolk,
Norfolk,
and made it feel very similar to that Johnny special.
Well, obviously, Josh, as well. I watched the Johnny special before doing your video.
Smart.
And and I really enjoyed it. Like this, here is this guy, and he goes home and he's literally showing around the camera crew and obviously then the viewers his town. And I love the fact is that you reenacted a lot of the things, even walking across that train bridge, which is no longer a train bridge. It's a walking bridge now.
Yeah, it's the start of that cowboy trail.
Yeah. But he walked across it when it was the train bridge, and then he actually hung off the bottom of it. And now this is a star, an American TV national superstar, hanging off the bottom of a railway track under a bridge while the train goes over it.
Yes.
No safety harnesses. We're talking the Tom Cruise of yesterday. Let's be honest.
Which is pretty amazing. I guess the people that I talked to about that said that was very dangerous. The crew was very concerned about Johnny. But you could tell Johnny when he was visiting those places, he was just going back to his boyhood. This is where he hung out when he was a boy.
Yeah.
And it was fun to get pictures on that bridge because that bridge was on, I think, a Life magazine or something like that. So I have a picture of me standing exactly where Johnny stood.
Exactly.
Was,
and you even went to his boyhood home. Now, his boyhood home, I saw as well, someone obviously owns it. And instead of owning something like a place like this and then shutting it down and living in it, this guy has opened it up to the public, hasn't he? Or
if you know somebody, it wasn't open for tours, but our friend Jason got me in there, and because he has connections with the visitor bureau there, so I actually got to go in there. Not everybody gets to do that.
Not everybody.
I got to walk upstairs to Johnny's room.
Yep.
It's all redone. It's all remodeled.
Yeah.
And they were right. You ring the doorbell, and what plays? The Tonight Show theme plays. There's jokes that are played when you ring the doorbell. So there's a lot of hidden Easter eggs in there. And then downstairs, they use some of the wood that they used, some of the original wood of the house. They put it into the bar. So there's a bar downstairs with the wood from like Johnny's room, and it was really, I felt really special to be able to visit that. And if you've watched the Johnny Comes Home special, there was a boy living there in Johnny's room, and Johnny plays basketball with him out in the driveway. And so what did I have to do?
You had to play basketball.
I had to play basketball. There's a basketball.
And it's still there. The ring's still there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a newer basketball hoop than the one that was in the 80s.
I can't recall, Josh, because when Johnny was there in the show, he actually sunk 3 free throws in a row.
3 3-pointers.
3 3-pointers in a row.
Yes.
Did you? Spoiler alert! If they haven't watched your video, did you sink 3
You know what?
3-pointers?
You're gonna have to watch the video. How's that for a tease? It's in the show notes.
Links are in the description and show notes.
Did I sink 3 3-pointers in a row? You got to watch the video to find out.
There you go. But there's also, as well, going back inside the house, there's also that wall that Jason spoke about, where comedians come over and they do sign this particular wall around a big photo of Johnny Carson as well. And I saw that on your video too. Obviously, your video is now almost 2 years old, Josh.
It'll be 2 years in the fall because I visited there in the fall of 2021.
Yeah. Now, do you reckon that's a good time to visit Norfolk? What do you think personally is the best time to visit Norfolk?
I mean, I love the fall, and I think the fall in the Midwest is great. And actually, at the beginning of the Johnny Carson special, he actually says, "There's nothing like Nebraska in the fall."
In the fall, he does.
So take the words of Johnny to heart. That's a great time to visit, I think. Although I would love to visit during the comedy showcase, the Great Comedy Festival, which is actually in June. That would be a neat time to visit as well. But Craig, can I talk about the Elkhorn Valley Museum? Because this was a highlight.
Yes.
So the Elkhorn Valley Museum is like a museum for the county or valley, but there's a special Johnny Carson section in it.
Oh, really?
And you'll see it in the video. And a lot of his Emmys are in there. I don't know if I've ever seen an Emmy in person.
Oh.
I think a lot of
the real ones.
Yes, a lot of his suits are in there. You can actually sit at a Tonight Show desk and you can get photo ops with Johnny, like Johnny's interviewing you. I thought that was really
cool.
I felt really special.
Really cool. Yep.
And when I was there during a weekday, and I had the whole place to myself. So,
oh wow!
But if you're a Johnny Carson fan or a fan of comedy in general, I mean, he was such a champion for young comedians. Mm-hmm. This is a place you got to visit. You can't miss the museum, and it was so cool. Like I said, I had the whole place to myself, so I took some time there.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And museums in general, Josh. I mean, recently you and I went to St. Louis, and we went through the museum there with the Slugger.
Oh, you mean
Slugger
Louisville?
Baseball bats.
Louisville.
Sorry, what did I say?
St.
Louisville.
Louis.
St. Louis. It all starts with L in my head. But yeah, we went there and we saw the Louisville Slugger Museum. You got to go to these museums.
Yes.
They teach you so many things, and you learn so much. It's incredible. So yeah, we did that. And we even went to the little. It wasn't really a museum, but the Lincoln Memorial. And might I say, if you are a Patreon, you would have got a little golden nugget from the Lincoln Memorial, Josh.
Oh, we love the golden nuggets. We're not talking about the ones from McDonald's, although those are delicious.
No. Yes.
But we love giving out those golden nuggets for sure.
We'll talk more about that in a very, very shortly. But just to finish off the talk, to Josh, about your tour itself as well, when you were there, what kind of, apart from the museum, was there any other part? I think there was did he say something about there's a bike trail, like a cowboy trail?
Yeah. So
what's
that bridge that we were talking about?
Yeah.
That's the start of the cowboy trail. It used to be for a railroad, but it goes 321 miles to the west.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a bike trail, it's a walking trail, it's a running trail. Mm-hmm. That's the start of it. It's really cool. And so the river is right there. You got to get out there if you're visiting Norfolk. You got to get out and just it takes you outside of town, and you just get it's a beautiful area. It's like the prairie. If you've ever watched Little House in the Prairie, that's what it feels like. It feels like Little House out there.
You really do. It's an escape, and it's an escape for most people, to get away to. So
for sure.
By the sounds of it, Norfolk in Nebraska needs to be placed on your bucket list to attend at some time in your life, whether you're a geocacher or not.
I do have a really odd place that I stayed.
Oh, yes. Tell me this tidbit.
It's so interesting because when you do a geo tour, you want to be strategic because you want to figure out, like, what order do I do them in, right?
Yeah, the quickest and the best order, yeah.
And sometimes, as Jason said, sometimes they can be spread out, beyond the city. So there was the farthest south geocache of the tour was in Madison, Nebraska, which is about 15 minutes south of Norfolk.
15 or 50?
15. About 15 minutes. But I wanted to be strategic because I knew I was going to have to get the geocache in that town. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna figure out a place to stay in Madison, Nebraska for just like the first night, so I can get that geocache and then go north, and then I don't have to like backtrack, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I did the old Google search. And let me just say, Madison, Nebraska, we should look it up. Like, what's the population?
I'll look it up. You tell me about where you stayed.
Okay. So, first of all, I just want to it's a very, very small town. I would guess probably the population was maybe 2,000 people. That's what I'm going to guess. What is it, Craig?
Let me... Oh, look at that. In 2020, the census says 2,283
Whoa!
people. Look at you.
How's that?
Look at you.
That's some skill to be able to just look at a town and go, I bet you that's how many people live there.
That's about 2,000 people live there.
So most towns that have 2,000 people, there probably won't be a hotel at all. Yeah, or there'll be like a very small something, right? Like a roadside inn, right?
Yeah.
So I looked, and there was a hotel, and I was shocked because it had 3.9 stars. 3.9 stars, okay? Like the Holiday Inn Express, I would say is like a 3.5 to 4 star hotel, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This had 3.9, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna trust it. It had pretty decent reviews. So I pull in that Friday night, and all I see, Craig, is a gas station.
What?
It's just a gas station.
Is that where it said the address was a gas
station? Yeah, it says this is where you go. You go, and I was like, "There's a gas. It's just a gas station."
What?
Like, where's the hotel? And then when I got my confirmation, because I did have reservations, it said, "Yeah, go into the gas station for your key." I was like, "What?"
Oh,
so I walk into this gas station, and sure enough, that's where I pick up the key for my hotel room.
Oh, from the gas station itself.
The attendant. The gas station attendant. I'm like, what is... Okay, I've traveled a lot. I've never experienced that. And so, now, Craig, if you're getting a hotel key at a gas station...
You're thinking to yourself,
what
where
are you
am
thinking,
I staying?
Yeah, what are you thinking the accommodations are going to be like?
Okay, I'm thinking cockroaches. I'm thinking, I'm going to have to check the bed for bed bugs before I jump in this thing.
The black light?
The black light. No, I wouldn't go that far because I knew I'll be out of there before that. I'd be checking the mirrors, Josh, and the sensors in the roof for little lights and
You're right.
and cameras. Yeah.
Yep. So I get my key, and they're like, "Okay, just go around back." Around back?
That's even worse now.
Go around back. I find my room. Outside looks pretty decent. It kind of almost looked like a pole. I don't know if you know what a pole barn is. Like a pole barn is like a pretty cheap way to build. Like a lot of farms, instead of building a barn, they'll build like a pole barn, which is just like has beams in it, but the outside is kind of okay with the siding, right? It's kind of like a pole barn, but it looked pretty new actually.
Right.
It looked new.
Yep.
I opened up that room. Craig. Gorgeous.
Really?
It was really nice.
Wow.
I was shocked. I was like, okay. Thank you, Google reviews.
Yeah.
This is a 3.9 star hotel. No cockroaches, roaches, very clean, and it was almost brand new.
Now, we're talking of the Comfort Ridge Inn and Suites, aren't we?
Does that sound like a gas station?
It doesn't. And by the looks of these photos, it is a 3.9 star as well. 3.9 stars with 47 reviews. It doesn't show anything about a gas station at all, but it does show that the front photo, which looks kind of new.
Yeah, it was very new. They built it. They built it. Either it's, I don't know if it's attached to the gas station, but it's right by. So clearly somebody owns the gas station, and they're like, I have all this extra land. Let's build a hotel.
Yeah, and then my gas station attendant, I can pay him to be my attendant, and he can also be the attendant of the hotel. So 2-for-1 deal for the owner.
Perfect. So that was a very unique
there you go.
travel moment, but I was pleasantly surprised.
And again, another travel hack. Like you got to trust. Sometimes you got to trust the star ratings on your Google searches. Let's be honest.
And the Google reviews are going to be more honest, because the Google reviews are not associated with the hotel chain. Sometimes hotel chains will have their own reviews, and you're like, wait a minute.
And you're like, this person's only reviewing that for a free hotel room.
And I like Google reviews because they're typically more positive. Like Yelp reviews, a lot of times people go to Yelp just to complain.
Yeah.
So Yelp is going to skew, I think, negative.
Yes.
Where this one, the reviews were more like, it was a pleasant surprise.
Well, there you go. There's a tidbit and tips for everyone else as well. But Josh, getting back now to our golden nuggets.
Yeah,
we've got to talk about our golden nuggets, and we've got to talk about Patreon as well, because we've got new Patreon members. Josh, we've got 19 Patreons now.
Wow!
And we thought about this when we were together last time in Kentucky. And you come up with the idea of the word called golden nuggets.
Yeah.
Now, I think we spoke about it on our last episode. But just to reiterate, a golden nugget is something that a little bit extra that's either be audio only, or it could be video as well, that you and I would do that only our Patreons get. And it could be 5 minutes. Like I think the Lincoln Memorial one was like 5 minutes long. I think the video we did at the Jim Beam as well, I think that might have been 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
But then when I spoke to you, Josh, about your Germany tour, that was a 20-minute interview I had with you. Did you know that? 20 minutes.
Yes.
And so that's Patreon only.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this show and you enjoy this show, then why not hit us up on Patreon, Josh? How could they do that on Patreon itself?
by supporting us, you're going to be helping us create better content, keep this free for everyone. So you just go to patreon.com/treasures of our town. And
Easy.
You can support us. I think there's 3 different levels there. Yeah. And we're just going to want to continue to bring value to those that are supporting us. And I just thank you so much to the 19 people that have chosen to support this fairly young podcast. We're not even at 10 episodes.
Exactly. I'll just name just a couple now off the top of my head, just quickly. The new ones.
Okay.
The number one, I can't say his name, Josh.
Wouter.
He's a real big fan of yours.
Wouter,
that's it. Wouter, thank you very much for joining us, mate. Terrell, too, thank you for joining us. Tyrone Shoelaces as well, thank you for joining us. And did you see Dale and Barb are also now... We had them on the show, and now they're Patreons. See, now they're Patreons. Brett Arnott from WA, he's there, and Garrett as well. Garrett, is it Anglin? I'm going to say Anglin. Garrett Anglin. If I say it incorrectly, I do apologise. But yeah, they're the new Patreons, Josh, we've got. So we're going to have to wrap it up now, because look at the time again. We're going overtime every single time, Josh.
Yeah, because, we got a lot of treasures to talk about.
We do. But this town especially had a lot of treasures in a small town. And this is the sort of podcast that we actually enjoy making and creating. So on our next episode is also hidden, Josh. We're not going to tell people what's on our next episode.
Ooh, it's secret.
So you'll need to tune in for that one. Hint for it, though. Josh has actually travelled there as well. So you've travelled there.
Yes.
So, Josh, how can people find or contact us if they wish to?
Feel free to reach out to us at treasuresofourtownpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
So that's our show for today. Please subscribe, rate, review on your favorite podcasting app. And as always, Josh,
may your travels always lead you in the most unexpected and amazing hidden gems around the world. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.